You ever wonder if we could actually see the future coming? Not with, a crystal ball or something, but by looking at data. Well, we're about to dive into one of the biggest ideas out there, the technological singularity, and a really fascinating clue that might just be our first real countdown clock.
So first things first, let's talk about the main event itself, the AI Singularity. It totally sounds like something straight out of sci-fi, but it's a concept that a lot of very smart people take very, very seriously.
So what even is it? The singularity is this theoretical moment when artificial intelligence doesn't just match human intelligence, but completely surpasses it. And that kicks off this explosion of technological growth that is just way beyond our control or even our ability to understand. The analogy here is perfect. It's like the event horizon of a black hole. We can see it getting closer, but once we cross that line, we have absolutely no idea what's on the other side.
And that's the million-dollar question, right? If this massive, world-changing event is on the horizon, are there any signals, any breadcrumbs we can follow to see just how close we're getting? For the longest time, it's all just been theory, but now some researchers think they've found a way to actually measure our approach.
And that leads us to a clue in a really unexpected place. Language. It's something so core to being human that it might just be the perfect test for an intelligence that isn't.
So, there's this company in Rome called Translated, and they are right at the center of this whole idea. They're a translation service, so they've been sitting on this absolute mountain of data, and in that data, they saw a trend that was just impossible to ignore. Their big idea is that if an AI can truly master the insane complexity of human language, that's a huge signal that it's on its way to a much more powerful general intelligence.
The company's CEO, Marco Trombetti, he kind of boils it down perfectly. He says language is the most natural thing for us. It's not just about grammar and words. It's about culture, inside jokes, sarcasm, emotion, all the messy stuff. We learn it without even trying as kids. So for an AI to really get it right, it has to understand our world on a much, much deeper level.
Okay, so how in the world do you measure something as squishy as mastering language? Well, Translated came up with this really elegant, incredibly simple metric that acts as a kind of countdown. They call it time to edit, or TTE. The idea is brilliant. They just measure the average number of seconds it takes a professional human editor to fix one single word that was translated by an AI. And what's the benchmark? What's the goal? Well, when a human edits another human's high-quality translation, it takes about 1 second per word. That's the gold standard. So for the AI to win, it has to hit that 1 second mark.
So let's look at the numbers. Where did we start? Back in 2015, the data showed it took an editor 3.5 seconds to fix each word from an AI. That's a lot. It tells you the translations were pretty clunky and needed a ton of work.
Okay, now let's jump forward to 2022. That number dropped all the way down to 2 seconds per word. I mean, think about that. In just 7 years, the time it took to fix the AI's mistakes was almost cut in half. The progress is just marching forward, steadily and quietly.
And here it is. This is the magic number, 1 second per word. This is the point where a professional editor spends no more time fixing an AI's work than they would a top-tier human colleagues. At this point, the AI's translation is, for all intents and purposes, indistinguishable from the best we can do.
When you see it on a chart like this, the trend is just so clear, you can't deny it. You've got the AI in 2015, way up there. Then the much better AI in 2022, getting so much closer to that 1 second human baseline. The gap between the machine and us, it is closing, and it's closing fast.
So based on this incredibly consistent progress, and we're talking about analyzing over 2 billion edits, Translated is projecting that AI will hit that 1 second target by the end of this decade, maybe even sooner. This is one of the very first predictions for a huge AI milestone that's actually driven by hard data.
So let's play this out. Let's say they're right. What does that world actually feel like? What happens when we can talk to anyone, anywhere, instantly and perfectly?
The implications are just mind-boggling. I mean, imagine scientists from every corner of the globe collaborating in real time to solve climate change or cure diseases. Imagine reading a novel or watching a movie and getting every single bit of the original nuance, with nothing lost in translation. Important stuff, like medical instructions or legal documents, could become instantly understandable to everyone. It would change the very fabric of how we connect as a species.
But okay, let's pump the brakes a little. Does perfect translation really mean we're knocking on the door of the singularity?
This is where the debate gets really, really interesting.
So here's the core question. Is the AI a thinking mind, or is it just a clever parrot? A parrot can mimic human speech flawlessly, but it has no idea what it's saying. Skeptics argue that this is what current AI does. It's just a phenomenal pattern matcher, amazing at predicting the next most likely word. That's called narrow AI. What we're talking about with the Singularity is artificial general intelligence, AGI. That would be a true thinking mind, something that gets context and can apply its smarts to any task, not just one.
And there are other holes you can poke in this prediction. The TTE metric kind of assumes progress is this nice, steady, straight line. But that's not usually how AI works. Breakthroughs often happen in these sudden, massive leaps. Plus, just because an AI gets translation perfect doesn't mean it's suddenly a genius at everything else. The real singularity means surpassing us across the board, not just in one specialized skill.
So, where does that leave us with this whole thing? What's the big takeaway from this really fascinating countdown clock?
Look, the importance of this time-to-edit metric isn't that it's some foolproof prediction of the future. Its real power is that it's one of the very first times we've used actual, measurable data to track our progress toward a monumental AI milestone. It yanks the idea out of the realm of pure speculation and plants it firmly in reality. And honestly, in the end, whether this specific countdown leads to the full-blown singularity or just leads to unbelievably good translation tools, the result is pretty much the same. Our world is about to be transformed. The journey itself is creating technology that's going to reshape how we all communicate forever.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to chew on. If mastering language is one benchmark for an advanced AI, what's next? What other uniquely human skills should we be watching? Things like creativity or emotional intuition or inventing something completely new out of thin air. Maybe the countdown to the future is running on more than just one clock.